The following podcast contains strong language like what the actual fuck.
Scarecrow Festival is like the most important day of the year. What? Daft Cow?
This is just ridiculous. What the actual fuck?
Hey, what the actual fuckers, and welcome to WTAF of This Country podcast. Now, first, he's the man that I've just made tea for after he came home from a hard day's work. 1 sausage, 2 sausage, 3 sausage, 4 sausage, and a good dollop of mash. I tried to tell him about my day, but all he wanted was his food. You know, I don't think he appreciates anything I do for him. It's Neil.
Hello, you're not dispelling these rumours at all, are you?
I know. I've just thought to myself, there's no point in dispelling it. Let's just go with the rumours now, Neil. There's no point. It's been 7 years. What can we do about it? What can we do about it?
Make a decent dollop of mash.
Oh, thank you very much for that. Now, our superfan guest this episode keeps Jeremy Vine in check on his daily TV show, is host of her own podcast, Is This Thing On, and enjoys a good TikTok too. It's Lindsey Bowers. I did say that right, didn't I? Yay!
You did indeed. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, we're looking forward to chatting to you about loads and loads of different things. The first thing I want to talk to you, obviously, is about This Country, because that's why we're here.
Mm-hmm.
How did you find out, and when did you start watching it? Did you start watching it from the very start, or were you sort of like a late person to the whole show?
I was very late to this party, I have to say. And actually, it's because of Jeremy Vine that I even found out about This Country. So you may or may not know that he's a massive fan himself. And working on his TV show, I heard it brought up quite a lot. And on the TV show, we do a telly review every Friday afternoon. And because Jeremy and his co-presenter Storm Huntley are both big fans of the show, it's sort of been brought up in quite a few different ways. And I'd never heard of it. And I remember they were showing a clip on the Jeremy Vine show. And I remember watching a clip and not getting it was a comedy. I thought it was an actual documentary.
Right.
And I remember saying to one of the producers in the gallery, what's this called again? Oh, This Country. And I was like, is it real? Or they're like, no, it's a comedy. And I remember kind of turning my nose up a bit and thinking, I'm not sure about that. But then in the end, one day I was sitting at home and thought, I don't know what to watch. I'll give that This Country thing that Jeremy and Storm like a try. Put it on player, and I watched the entire 3 series in about a week.
Right.
Absolutely.
So you just gorged on it.
Yeah, and that was a bit before lockdown. So I think I started watching it around the time it was actually coming to a close. So like February time, around then.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's February,
so
March.
really late to the party.
Goodness.
So what was it about the show that made you want to binge it as quick as you did?
In 2 words, Kerry's mum.
All right.
I mean, for me, just that character is it for me. It's just absolute genius. I think the random act of kindness bit, you know what I'm talking about. Shit in knickers.
Yeah.
Oh my God. When I first saw that, I had to pause because I couldn't stop laughing. I carried on watching and I just kept on laughing over that bit. Like I couldn't get it out of my head, and I kind of didn't really know what was going on for the next 10 minutes because I couldn't get over that bit. So when a show makes me have that reaction, it's not very often. You know, you found something pretty special.
So it's interesting that you watched it all in one sort of big go, because obviously with us, we've watched it from the start. So we've had to, when a series is finished, we've had to wait the year or the 2 years and then a special. Do you prefer watching things like so you can watch everything in one long go, or do you not miss maybe the fact that you can chat to somebody about an episode for the week and then the anticipation grows a little bit more?
Yeah, I'm not a great binge watcher because I don't have a very big attention span. But with This Country, I could probably watch 3 or 4 episodes in one sitting, which is a big deal for me because usually I'm off in La La Land, asleep on a sofa, on my phone, looking elsewhere, you know, before the end of an episode of anything else. But there is something to be said for anticipating and looking forward to something. Like, I'm a massive Game of Thrones fan, and when that was still on, that was an event. We'd go to my mate's house, we'd cook some food up, we'd have it up on a big screen, and I mean, what a letdown the last episode was, but it was still like a social event. So I like doing that with shows I get really into. And I think if I'd cottoned on to this country when it came out, then yeah, it would be a highlight of my week watching it, you know.
I feel that if we talk about Game of Thrones, you're going to head for that wine straight away, especially the end episode of that. Just that, I mean, we're going to go off a little bit in a tangent there, but were you really disappointed with that final episode?
Yeah.
Or what about the final series? I mean... Yeah, the series as a whole. I mean, the final episode, you know, it had its brilliant moments in terms of just looking stunning and production. Yeah, absolutely.
Or am I thinking of a penultimate one?
I think the last...
You know, the one where the shocking thing happens, where everyone goes, well, that's a bit of a character turnaround, isn't it? I mean, that was stunning, but at the same time, you think, come on, really? That's a bit of an arc. But... yeah, I think for me, the whole series kind of lost its magic after... how many series were there altogether? 6?
8, wasn't it?
8 was it 8? I honestly lose track.
I think the last couple just got almost too big for its boots, maybe?
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, I think. Yeah. I think almost like the fans were willing it to be something, and everybody said that how they wanted it to be, and it never lived up to that expectation. And the choices that they made... it's very much like Star Wars as well. I think the story choices they made people just scratch their heads going, well, why did you do that? What? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And it was so disappointing, in my point of view anyway.
I actually enjoyed the documentary about the making of it.
I did.
More than the last episode. That was fantastic. And it did make me feel so bad for all those people that worked on this show for so long. I mean, in that documentary, you end up falling in love with one of the extras, don't you?
That's right,
he's such a great character. There's so many characters involved in the process of making any show. So I feel bad that, you know, the cast and crew had to read all this criticism, but at the end of the day...
yeah.
I didn't sign the petition for them to remake it, though. I mean,
No, I don't agree with that kind of thing. I think that's just going a little bit too far, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it'll get remade one day anyway.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah.
So with this country then, Lindsay, what resonates with you? I mean, I don't know where you grew up, but does it resonate with your time of growing up as a teenager, etc.?
Well, I grew up in Essex, but a part of it did resonate with me because the first few years of my life was growing up on a council estate. I've known poverty in my life. And the thing with this country is it's so sensitive about the issue of sort of the lack of opportunities for young people in rural areas and that kind of class aspect. It's not, because it could have easily become sort of poverty porn and taking a piss out of the people it's depicting. But I mean, Daisy May Cooper and Charlie Cooper, that's actually their background, isn't it? They've known hardship. So they dealt with it really sensitively, and it's very, very funny, but sometimes very, very sad. And one thing that really struck me is Kerry's relationship with Martin, the father-daughter relationship. I mean, she's a bit of a dick, Kerry, but it's because she just wants to be loved and noticed so badly by her dad. And then Curtin's sort of her knight in shining armor without her realizing it, because he's so sweet to her without, just in the most subtle ways. So I think it's the fact it's so funny and rude sometimes, but it's just got a massive heart that just made me fall in love with it.
So is that the kind of comedy that you like, the more realistic kind of comedy, or are there other sort of comedy that you like?
Well, I grew up on a diet of Rick Mayall. Like, I was really into Bottom and Young Ones when I was a kid, probably when I was far too young to be allowed to watch that kind of stuff. So in terms of, you know, that's really slapstick, in your face, obvious comedy, isn't it? And things have changed since then. But I'm trying to think of what, I mean, it's been a while since the comedy's really gripped me like this country has. I mean, it reminds me of Spinal Tap in a way. That kind of, I haven't seen such a good mockumentary since Spinal Tap. I'd say this country is better than that in terms of how much it made me laugh. I am enjoying What We Do in the Shadows at the moment, actually.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm not quite caught up with the latest series, but the last one really, really made me laugh. And I liked the film as well. So maybe that kind of peeking behind the curtain mockumentary thing is my cup of tea.
Trouble with me is I'm just a Matt Berry fan. I think anything that Matt Berry's in is just like, there's something about that guy. Just he's only got to say hello, and I just find him hilarious.
It's a voice, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
There's just something about him. It really is.
Yeah.
So with the fact that you've watched the 3 series and the special, have you got a particular special series or what am I trying to say?
Favorite series.
Favorite series. That's what I was looking for. Oh my god.
You know, I mean, I feel bad because you're saying I'm a super fan, but I don't know if I'm a good enough super fan because I can't, like, it all molds into one for me.
Yeah.
Maybe because I've just binged it so quickly. I have like certainly favourite moments. Like, just for me, every time there's a Kerry's mum bit, it's just my face lights up. I'm like, oh, here we go. What's she gonna say? I think I've got probably favourite episodes. Another character I really like is Big Mandy, and when Kerry's trying to get out of the tattoo, I was in tears at that, and just how scared they are of her in general. Series. I can't like really. I'm a terrible super fan. I can't remember what happens in each series.
The problem is you binged it, Lindsay. That's the difference. When you binge a series like that, or a whole few series altogether, it becomes very hard to differentiate.
Yeah, but I couldn't tell you what happened in each series of Game of Thrones as well. I've just got a terrible memory. Too much wine, probably.
Well, we'll find out a little bit later on how much of a super fan you are, but I'm not gonna go too far into that now. So, so how did you start off on the Jeremy Vine show then?
Well, I've been working in TV in London for about 8 years, and I started with ITN Productions, make the Jeremy Vine show. But before it was Jeremy Vine, it was The Right Stuff with Matthew Wright. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
And that was on there for a really long time. And I came into the team at this strange time when the Right Stuff had gone from Princess Productions, which shut down, to ITN Productions. So there was a new kind of team built, and I came in then, which I think was the beginning of 2018. So yeah, just over a couple of years ago. And then within a year, or much less actually, Matthew Wright left, and then Jeremy came in. So I've kind of been there since the beginning. It's still a very new show when you think of it like that. So yeah, I've been on the show since it started, which was it's going to be 2 years in September.
Wow.
What is it the role is then of a producer on a show like that?
Well, I'm actually digital producer, which means I'm in charge of all the online stuff we do. So I run all their social media accounts, edit their online videos. But recently they have been training me up to do actual broadcast producing as well. The role of a producer really is to just think of ideas and decide what you're going to talk about, keep an eye on what's trending online. I mean, this is a news and current affairs programme. And Jeremy also has his BBC radio show, so you don't want to clash too much with what he's doing there. So it's really just kind of thinking about the things that are in the news on social media that are going to make people have a big old debate. It's a phone-in show, so we get all kinds of people phoning in, airing their opinions. It can be quite amusing sometimes, very insightful. It's a really fun show to work on, actually. It's just brainstorming and trying to I don't want to say trying to make people argue, but when it's a panel show, you need a bit of conflict, don't you?
Yeah.
You can't have two people agreeing on something.
And to be honest, in the world that we live in at the moment, there isn't that much agreement on anything, is there? So it must be a perfect. How do you gauge from it being sort of, like you said, a fun show, to then tackling obviously the sort of subjects that we've had to tackle with over the last, say, 15 weeks? How do you balance that?
Well, it's something we have to think about every day. It's all about making sure you have enough light and shade in a show, really. So if you're talking about the amount of coronavirus deaths, or, you know, the amount of families using food banks, all the shit that's going on in this year in particular, Jeremy is very good at lightening the mood by we'll deal with a segment like that, have an ad break, and then all of a sudden, well, today, for example, he was doing tie-dye, because it's become an online thing, people doing tie-dye, but he's done everything from stripping off and having an imaginary shower, it's all about production and visuals. I mean, Wimbledon was cancelled, so he had a game of tennis in the studio, which was a bit of carnage. And it's just about those moments where someone might be pottering around their house and have a TV on, and they just stop and go, what the fuck is he doing? And for anyone who works in daytime TV, they know they've had a good show if there's a Twitter account called Daytime Snaps, and it's basically just a series of completely out of context screen grabs from those days' daytime shows, and you should check it out. It's absolutely hilarious. And when we get one of ours on there, which is probably at least once a week, we're like, we've got a Daytime Snaps tweet, we've nailed it.
Right.
What was it called again? Daytime Snaps?
Daytime Snaps.
I'll have to have a little look at that.
Yeah.
So how much of the show is scripted in regards to, because I mean, obviously it's with everything that you do, it's a live show, is it? It's a live show, isn't it?
It's most of it is live. So it used to be live, but because Jeremy has to be at the BBC for a certain time,
right,
we now pre-record the last 45 minutes before we go live. So 3/4 of it is live. But yeah, it's all scripted, but obviously things go off script, and sometimes they're the best moments.
I was just wondering, is there any particular moment that you can think of that you maybe sort of hang your head and think, oh God, that happened, that was embarrassing? Or
I mean, there's little kind of things like that happen every day, really. They happen so often, they just wash over you. That's the nature of live TV. You just never know what you're going to get, especially at the moment because of the coronavirus. We're having to have all our guests over Skype. I mean, today one of our guests, his internet connection kept cutting out, so it seemed like almost every 10 minutes we're going, oh, we've lost him again. But with a presenter like Jeremy, he just knows how to handle it and how to carry it on to the next thing, because he's an absolute pro. Before I worked on Jeremy Vine, I was at ITV working on Good Morning Britain with Piers Morgan. So that was truly a test of things going off script, because the man doesn't know how to stick to a script. But yeah, that was great fun as well.
So when you have in these shows, when people call in, especially like on the Jeremy Vine show, I mean, how do you deal with somebody that is basically there to disrupt, cause offence or be controversial?
We've had an issue with a particular person calling in and swearing down the phone, which is actually illegal, and it became a bit of an issue. So we just really, really, really vet callers now and have procedures in place. But if someone, I think the way the team handles it now, it's very rare we get someone through who wants to cause trouble. But sometimes someone might come on and say something a little bit questionable, something that might cause offence to someone else, and in which case Jeremy is quite good at moving it along. And I think there's a red button in the gallery that can be pressed to cut them off if need be.
What about the funniest call then? Have you got any sort of stories from the funniest one you've ever had?
Oh wow, that's put me on the spot a bit. We do have some characters. We have some regulars who come in, who call in. But I'm trying to think, what's the funniest caller? I mean, when I think of our most memorable callers, a lot of them are actually sad. Like, I remember a couple of calls that kind of moved me to tears a couple of times, but usually when they make me laugh, it's for the wrong sort of reasons. So I don't know if I should say. There was a time where an old fella rang in because he wasn't sure whether it was safe because of the coronavirus to go to his bowls club and start playing bowls, and Jeremy made some comment about, well, are you allowed to touch each other's balls? And then I could see Storm was losing her shit, and Jeremy just had to carry on with a straight face. It's all, there's always innuendo and moments like that in daytime TV. There's no escaping it.
That is growing up with Bottom and Young Ones that's done that to you. That's what's done that.
Yeah.
Right, now also I believe we got a mutual friend in regards to somebody that I think Jeremy found a tweet, the Artful Badger. You did a thing about a particular badge a couple of weeks ago, and that's somebody that we're friends with. It was, I think you showed a tweet, I can't remember it, I think it was a distancing badge.
Oh, okay.
Saying that, because once I think Boris Johnson said that it was going to go down to a metre.
Right.
And she made a badge saying, well, I'm sticking to like 2 meters, and it was featured on the show. I just wanted to let you know is that's a good friend of ours and somebody that is part of the Dump Gang Facebook admin. She was so happy that she screen grabbed it and put it all over social media, and that she was so happy about that. So I just thought I'd give Sarah a little shout out for that, and the Facebook Dump Gang Facebook group, go and follow it if you're a This Country fan. So where would you like to see, if I mean, they keep talking about bringing This Country back, and hopefully they'll bring it back. What sort of direction would you like to see the characters go in?
Ooh, I'd like to see more development between Kerry and Martin.
Do you feel a little shortchanged with how that finished in Series 3?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, I was listening to your episode of Joe Elvin, and was it Joe Elvin where you brought that up?
I think so, yeah.
And by the way, I love Joe Elvin.
She's lovely.
When I first moved to London, I wanted to be her when I grew up, because she was the editor of Glamour magazine at the time, which I read. But anyway, yeah, I'm very honoured to be on after her. Yeah, I just feel like it's such a... Oh, what's the word? I just feel like there's more directions it could go in. I mean, yeah, it's one of the most sensitive bits of a show. Also, I'd want to see more of Kerry's mum. I mean, I don't know if I actually ever want to see her. You never see her, do you?
You don't? No.
No, you see her legs in bed at one point, don't you? Or Kerry's rubbing her feet or something when she's crying over Martin leaving her again. Oh, I don't know. I mean, but they won't bring it back, though, will they?
Well, I mean, we've
ruled it out, have they?
They haven't ruled. I mean, Days has always said that when the money runs out, they could always bring it back again. So, I mean, I would love to see something in like 10 years' time. So they go back and see what's happening in the village, and that they're exactly the same. They're just nothing has changed. They're exactly the same.
Yeah, you'd imagine. Obviously, I'd love to see them get out of the village, and like Curtin, especially. I feel like he could really make something of his life. But the reality is, they'd probably be like exactly where they are. Whether the vicar will still be there or not. If the vicar left, maybe they'd follow him.
Yeah.
But he tried, didn't he? Bless him. I would like to see what Daisy and Charlie could come up with next. Like, I would like to see them do a new project. But I heard Daisy talk on Fern Cotton's podcast about, the pressure of that, and can she do anything else? So I've got faith in her. She is one funny woman. Her Instagram alone is just the best content on the internet. The whole sea captain thing has me absolutely... Have you been following it all?
Absolutely.
My God.
It's like a little present you open up every day. Well, especially over the last few weeks, where something else has happened, and he's blocked her, and she's got a Boris Johnson impersonator saying...
Yes. Oh my God. That finished me. That I actually commented saying, I am fucking finished. I usually don't swear on Instagram. well, that's probably a lie, I probably do.
Yeah.
But I put in capital letters, I'm fucking finished, or something like that, because I just was laughing so much.
Yeah.
He said something like, you know not what you do.
That's right.
I wonder who it is. Oh my God.
I mean, and that's just the mind of a comedy genius to think of something like that, and to make. The other thing I don't know if you've seen is that she apparently upset Paul, her dad, who's Martin, obviously.
Oh my God.
You see that one as well?
Who is he? Fucking Mariah Carey in a dressing gown, she said. That sent me off as well. She's and her TikTok dances.
I know.
Oh,
I know. So you need to explain, because you've done a few TikToks, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't. I'm obviously a lot older than you. I'm of the generation that I don't quite get TikToks. So can you explain to me what just what it's all about? Because I sound like a right granddad, I must admit.
I don't think you are much older than me, to be honest. I'm quite old for the TikTok generation, but because my work is, you know, keeping on top of what's on social media, I joined it to kind of see what the kids are doing, what's trending. It is quite addictive, but I realized, you know, the kind of biggest selling point of it is that you can lip sync to stuff and kind of have your favorite TV characters, film characters, voices come out of your mouth. And I went on there thinking, I have to see if there's any this country ones. And there's everything you can think of on there. So I lip synced Kerry, a few Kerry and her mum moments. I did the Random Act of Kindness, Crumpets, and Tomato. And just kind of really got into it, posted it on my Twitter, and it got quite a good reception, but I haven't really done any since.
Right.
But it's funny because people were sending me messages on Twitter saying your West Country accent is amazing. I was like, it's not me. It's Daisy May Cooper's voice coming out of my mouth.
So you must have done it really well then, because I've seen a few TikToks where people don't seem to lip sync it very well at all. So
it's the hardest bloody tool to use for that, because you'll do it on TikTok, it looks perfect, you press save and then it goes out of sync.
Right.
To be fair, it is really hard to on my podcast I had Maggie Foster, who's a huge TikTok star, on the other day, and she said she's actually written to them to complain because it's hard to do it.
Really?
So yeah.
Right.
So give them a chance, of those TikTok, you know, hopefuls out there. But so it's not something I'm going to do.
So is digital content something that is a must for TV programs these days?
Oh, absolutely. I think the kind of TV programs I've worked on, which want to incite debate and kind of video views to widen the audience. Yeah, absolutely. When I first joined my team, there wasn't a dedicated social media producer. It's something ITN decided to do, and you know, we've had videos that have been viewed millions and millions of times. So it's been great for just like kind of getting the name of a show out there, and you know, getting guests on and stuff like that.
Does
I
it
think
help?
with anything, whether you're brand, TV show, whatever you're doing, digital, like being digital savvy is always going to help.
But it must help when something, I don't really want to use the word controversial, but maybe something controversial happens and then that gets the reshare. That obviously helps, doesn't it?
It does, but there's some kind of modes of controversy that you don't want to court, but sometimes there is. You know, there's been a couple of times when we've had a guest come on the show and they've said something and it's gone viral on Twitter, and they've been upset because they're getting a lot of stick. But at the end of the day, they said it. But part of my job is to think carefully about whether I want to put that out on the show's Twitter. You know, I have a duty of care to think if someone says something and you know they're going to get absolutely roasted alive for it, then maybe I shouldn't put it out there. But if I don't, someone else will. But most of the people having a show can take it. They're you know, opinionated, intelligent people with varying opinions. But they said what they said, and it's going to end up on, when you say something on a TV show, it's going to end up online. When I was working with Piers Morgan, it was just you know, take your pick every day of what is said that's gonna really fuck people off.
Yeah. Would like producers and that be in the gallery or behind the cameras, just like going, "Oh God, Piers, not again."
Oh yeah.
Oh no, it's like that all the time. I can just imagine that's what even the cameramen are going. Oh my God, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Have you never had any plans to sort of be the other side of the camera?
Well, kind of. I had a little bit of presenter training with ITN, but I wasn't very good at it. So I decided, you know, producing is more my forte. I enjoy doing my podcast. That's probably about as good as my, you know, being on the other side of a lens, even though it's not a lens, if you know what I mean, will go. Because it's TV presenting is a lot harder than it looks. I think a lot of people think, well, you just, as long as you can read an auto cue, then you're right. But actually, it's really. I did a few screen tests like ages ago, and I couldn't get over my nerves. I just couldn't kind of get out of my own head. You just need a certain personality to do it, and I don't think I've quite got that. But it's okay because it was never big. You also really, really need to want it, and I don't really. I love producing. I love being creative. I love editing content. So that's what I'm doing.
You said about your podcast, Lindsay. Tell us more about it. Tell everybody what it is. And what...
Yes. So it's called Is This Thing On, as you mentioned earlier. And my co-host is Sachin Akrani, who is a sports editor for The Guardian. He's been with them for about 12 years. And yeah, we met each other on Twitter a few years back, and he got in touch with me last summer and was like, "Do you want to do a podcast?" And I thought, yeah, why not? And we kind of had a bit of a brainstorm about well, actually, I think it was probably his idea, but I came up with the name. But we decided it would basically be, we'd meet up in a pub, have a few drinks, and just talk about whatever the hell we wanted, really. Not much of a format, although we do kind of a pub quiz at the end and play a few fun games. But then we've just finished our second series, and we've had like some really, really interesting guests on. Obviously, the last few haven't been in a pub because we haven't been able to go to the pub, but we've had a few drinks over Zoom. And yeah, it's just been... Podcasting is not something I ever really thought about, but when Sachin got in touch with me, I was like, this sounds like a really fun project to kind of get my teeth into outside of my day job. And as I'm sure you guys will attest, you just meet the most interesting people and have such a laugh. And yeah, the thing is with my one, I messaged you, didn't I, saying, should I have a glass of wine on me? Because I'm so used to having a drink while I'm doing mine. I'm like, is that what everyone does? And I thought, no, Lindsay, it's probably not what everyone does. You're just an absolute massive lush. But I have got a bottle of wine next to me, and I'm thinking about pouring myself a glass now, just because it's 5 o'clock, so it's officially evening.
It is, but then again, it's evening somewhere in the world, isn't it? So
exactly,
you know, you can do that, and we're about to do a little quiz, so maybe it might be an idea.
I'm going to pour myself a small glass of red.
I thought you might do. Yeah. I thought you might do. So
anyone who listens to my podcast knows that I drink too much, okay. Especially during lockdown.
And red wine's good for the heart anyway, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
There you go. Right. So what we're going to do, we're going to play Kerry or Curtin. I'm going to give you a line of dialogue. You need to tell me if it was Kerry or Curtin that said it.
Okay, I'm going to.
So here we are. We've got 5 of these, and here we go with number 1.
Okay.
At the end of the day, I'm a very vindictive person, you know. At the end of the day, I'm a very vindictive person, you know.
I can imagine both of them saying it. And coming out of Curtin, it would be so cute because he can be vindictive, actually, can't he? I love him. I think the end of I think it's Curtin.
It is Curtin. Well done. That was in the first episode of Series 3 when he phones the tip and says that Kerry has been stealing things from the from the recycling centre. So that's good. 1 out of 1. Number 2. Do you want a cup of tea? Wagon wheel? Do you want a cup of tea? Wagon wheel?
I remember this. I feel like it's Kerry because Curtin's always going to her house, but then she does go to his once or twice, doesn't she? Ooh. Kerry.
It is Kerry. Well done. In the Cynthia episode to Sue, when Sue finds out that Martin has been going from one to the other like Flubber from the film Flubber.
Yeah.
Well done. 2 out of 2. Well done. So number 3. Like I'm just bored living round here now. Like I'm just bored living round here now.
Oh my God, that could be either of them in any episode.
It could be.
Curtin.
Well done. It is the GNVQ episode.
Yes, I was thinking because he was going to go to college.
He was going to go to Swindon College. 3 out of 3. Well done.
Way better than I thought already.
Well done. So number 4. Did you see the bold snake? Did you see the bold snake? 3 out of 3 so far. That wine is doing its job.
Oh, I'm going to be really annoyed if I get any wrong now.
I
went
know.
from thinking I'll get numb to thinking I have to get them all. Kerry.
That was Curtin.
Oh, okay,
Talking to Kerry in The Harvest, the very last episode, when he fell out after the vicar was saying that he was leaving. And the final one. Can you do Steve's voice? Can you do Steve's voice?
Is it Kerry to Curtin where they're prank calling Kerry's mum?
They are. That is absolutely right. If I could give you another point for that, I would, but unfortunately I can't. But that is exactly right. That was the station episode when Curtin is phoning up Sue about the milk. 4 out of 5. Well done, Lindsay.
Very, very
respectable.
That was very impressive, I must
Am I
say.
in any sort of leaderboard or anything?
You are in the leaderboard of our hearts. That's what you are.
I thought it might be like Top Gear, where you know.
Unfortunately, not. Although you've done better than Lucy did last week. So well done with that. 4 out of 5. The bold snake was the one that just got you off there. So see, hey for red wine.
Wait, see, this is why I drink so much. It makes my brain improve.
So what character would you most like to go for a drink with at the Keepers then, Lindsay?
Curtin.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well,
I think if I lived in that village, I'd have a big crush on him.
I was going to say, I feel like there's a bit of a crush thing going on there.
Well, compared to the other options.
Just in the village, just over that.
Yeah.
That or Martin Mucklow, really. I know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that he's got a little bit of a brain hidden in there somewhere. And it's a little bit philosophical, isn't he? And he just comes out with these absolute one-liners. So yeah, I'd like to have a drink with Curtin.
We'll see what we can do.
If you're listening.
Yeah, if you're listening, you never know. Who knows might be listening. Right, so the podcast at the moment, so how many series did you say you're doing? It's not like a weekly thing. You just...
No, it was a fortnightly thing, and we finished series 2 and then decided we're not going to start series 3 until we can meet in the pub again, because a big aspect is having the background noise of the pub atmosphere. So, but then we did a special bonus episode last week because Meggie Foster got in touch out of the blue saying, because we invited her to come on a few weeks back when she was becoming an internet star, and she was overwhelmed, so she said no, but then she changed her mind and said, actually, I will come on. So we're like, well, we're going to come back especially for you. So, you know, unless any more fantastic people like that say, can I be in the podcast, I don't think there'll be any episodes until this whole pandemic thing is a little bit more I mean, the pubs are open, so it shouldn't be that long. It's just a case of when everything feels safe. I mean, are you guys going to the pub yet?
No, I mean, I'm not a big pub goer anyway. I mean, Neil's always in the pub, but
Yeah. I haven't left. I've been locked in the whole lockdown.
Really? Oh, no,
No.
I've not been yet. So
No, I haven't. Honestly, I'm not a drinker, so.
yeah,
Oh, right.
it's weird when you see the fact that everybody was going on about this Super Saturday, I think they called it, didn't they? And the fact that, and I didn't really know how it was going to go, but then when you see the pictures of like Soho and that, where people are just crammed in, and you think, oh, things aren't going to get any better if this is how it's going to go.
Yeah, it's just a case of, will that second wave come? And yeah, you just don't want to take the piss, really, do you? So.
No. So
and Sachin, my co-host, very kindly comes to my local as well, so it's him who has to get on the tube and travel quite far, whereas it's just down the road for me. So it's all in Sachin's hands. No pressure.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Lindsay, just quickly, who would be your dream guest then?
Oh, that's a good question. I know Sachin's would be one of the Gallagher brothers because he's a massive Oasis fan, but at the same time, he said, "Don't meet your idols." So, are you thinking kind of realistic or big?
Whichever.
We've found from our personal experience that even when you have the people that you think are out of reach, like Armando Iannucci, these days you can get the people that are out of reach. So it should be anybody that you think that is even out of reach, I think. Yeah.
I mean, in a realistic world, I'd love Daisy. But if I could literally have anyone, probably like Madonna.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Because she has been the face of breaking down during lockdown, I think.
Yeah.
But I used to be a massive fan of, I say used to be, that's so mean, but she's just been posting some interesting stuff on her socials. I'd like to check in on her and see if she's all right.
Yeah. Well, she's been an icon for so long that I was disturbed when I saw that one post when she was in the bath, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was very
did you
strange.
see the one she did this week where she's just basically standing naked in front of a mirror, covering her tits with her arms?
Really?
Which I don't really have a problem with, but it's just, you just think what's going on in your head. Like, I don't know. It's just, there's something that seems a bit off about it.
Not quite right. Yeah.
I think she's had that level of fame. She probably lives in Madonna world.
Yeah.
Isn't it now?
Yeah, probably.
It's very strange. It's very strange. Well, we will put a link in our show notes to the podcast so that people can try it out. And any other things that you've got planned at the moment, or is it just back to work tomorrow on the Jeremy Vine show?
No, yeah, back to work tomorrow, but I'm working from home, so it's all good. But yeah, any plans I ever had are off. Do you know what? Actually, today marks exactly a month until my would-be wedding day.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. I was supposed to be getting married on the 8th of August this year, but for obvious reasons that's been put off till September next year. So I've got a long time to panic about that now.
Well, that must be, you must have had lots of the plans already set and done and just waiting for the date. So
yeah, dress, venue, caterers, DJ, everything sorted. But luckily, all of them absolutely fine about moving to the new date. So it actually, other than the kind of massive letdown of, it not happening when you think it's going to happen, it hasn't been that stressful to rearrange it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of like a weird period of just kind of, you feel like you need to be as productive as possible, but actually it's okay to have some downtime. And yeah, I don't really have any projects on at the moment apart from learning guitar.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, which isn't going very well. So.
Was that brought on by the lockdown, or was that something you were going to do anyway?
Oh no, I was an absolute lockdown cliche. In the first few weeks, I made banana bread, I bought a guitar, got it delivered to my house, learned one song, then put it down and didn't look at it but yesterday actually I picked it up again. I was like, right, I'm going to learn some Muse, or I'm going to learn a song I like and just do something.
You got to get those 10,000 hours of practice in, you see.
Oh.
You got to get the tips of your fingers have got to go all hard and all that.
Yes, it hurts. It really hurts. And I left it so long that the calluses went away, so now they're hurting again. So I need to keep them calloused. So Yeah.
Well, if I'd have known that, I would have asked if you'd play us a little song to play us out. But
I would not offend your ears in that way. Honestly, I've got a lot more practice to go before I'm anywhere near playing to anyone.
oh, bless you. Well, Lindsay, thank you so much for spending some time with us. It's been a real
Thank
pleasure
you.
to speak to you.
You too.
Enjoy the wine.
I shall.
Neil, do you want to get and do your little bits and pieces?
Absolutely. Well, you can find us on all the social media sites under WTAF-TC Pod. Give us a click, give us a like, come and follow us. You can email us at WTAFthiscountry@hotmail.com. Please, if you've got any questions, drop us a line there. And we have a website where you can click and find everything you need to do, like tickets for our last live show at WTAFpodcast.com.
That's right. And the last live show, the date has now moved to 28th of May 2021. That's almost like our wedding, where it's been moved over to the following year. Tickets will be available. Go to the website and the link there to buy tickets. Fingers crossed we'll have some very, very special guests. If you've listened to the last few episodes of the podcast, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have some very, very special guests for our very last live show. You can buy us a coffee. Go to ko-fi.com/WTAFTC pod, and also come and be a Patreon bozo, and you can support us that way, patreon.com/WTAF. Once again, Lindsay, thank you so much for joining us.
It's been a blast. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Say hello to Jeremy for us.
I shall do.
Thank you very much, Neil.
Thank you very much, Pav.
Thank you very much, everyone, and go and get plumbed, you fuckers.
Scarecrow Festival is like the most important day of the year.
What?
Daft cow?
This is just ridiculous. What the actual